hear you're ready for your dose of reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dr. Quack podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. But before we get too far, you saw in the WrestleMania 9 where I patted WrestleMania 10 saying thank you. That wasn't to say this show was very good. That was just to say thank you for not having Hulk Hogan in there. So I don't want to belabor this. We got a lot to unpack with this pile of trash.
Yes.
Please go ahead, just get us started.
Well, the first, match here, I'm going to get into all this first. Yes, this is the first WrestleMania to not have Hulk Hogan involved, which, he'll come back later on, but let's get into this. Opening montage, I really liked how they did this. They showcased WrestleManias 1 through 10, to set everything up, the importance of the 10-year anniversary of WrestleMania. And of course, where else would it be? Madison Square Garden. The city named twice. It was so nice. New York City.
And that was that was to show the importance of that it didn't need to be Hulk Hogan's WrestleManias. They really did not show a lot of Hogan in these. It was just important that it's continuing on without Hulk Hogan. It didn't need him. It kept moving and it kept thriving.
Exactly. You had Jerry the King Lawler with Vince McMahon on commentary.
Oh, and this was not a very good version of Jerry Lawler. Heel Jerry Lawler, there's nothing wrong with heel Jerry Lawler, but this was overboard heel Jerry Lawler. He hadn't quite yet discovered that he was really good at the job, and luckily he hadn't discovered the word puppies yet, so he's just kind of out there being a heel. It was okay. Vince is okay. They weren't great. It wasn't the legacy of the past of Gorilla and Ventura, but it was okay.
Like, their commentary reminded me of WrestleMania, the arcade game. Like, when they're talking in it, exactly like just the stereo of it, the way they talked, the way it was. It was passable, I guess. Little Richard singing the national anthem. I'm sorry, America the Beautiful.
Yeah, Little Richard was definitely bringing out his inner prince during this song. I'm not going to give my opinion of the version that he did, but Little Richard's voice is very good. He sounded great. Didn't like so much the falsettos in the beginning, but once he started bringing out the chorus and he really started singing and belting the tones out, the Little Richard did a great version of doing that, but it's not a style I prefer, but I'm not going to disparage that. Little Richard did a great job.
Yeah, I believe he did too. I loved how you had the choir out there singing with him. That was actually very, impressive. It was probably one of the better ones I've seen as far as American Beautiful renditions. Yeah. Backstage, we had your buddy, Todd Pettengill.
Todd, you're not getting sprayed yet.
Yes.
You do get worse.
Oh, God, he does.
But you were passable this time. You were not corny. You were not wild. You were not bombastic. You showed some respect and reverence to the WrestleMania 10. So I'm giving you a pass. You actually did a halfway decent job.
Yep, and you also had Bill Dunn doing the ring announcing here. That is very significant.
Yes, Bill Dunn, one of the guys. He mostly did the house shows in and around Madison Square Garden in the Northeast area. There was a reason for that, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. The Fink was there, but we're going to get into why Fink didn't do the first match. We also got introduced to our favorite referee, and unfortunately, it's sad to say this is his last WrestleMania, Joey Marella, who died 3 months later due to a car accident at a very young age. So rest in peace, Joey Marella. You gave us many great examples of what a good referee should be. And if WWE ever considers a referees Hall of Fame, it should be the Joey Marella Memorial Wing of Referees.
I'm telling you. And I'm going to start with my Quack Attack! This is the first time I have ever given my Quack Attack award to an opening match. Because this match, I believe, was the best opening match I've ever seen. That was Bret the Hitman Hart taking on his younger brother, Owen Hart.
Excellent, excellent storytelling match. The backstory with this, they had been working together, and in Survivor Series, Owen Hart was the only member of the Hart family to be eliminated from the match that had Bret Hart, Keith Hart, Bruce Hart, and Owen Hart. And Owen was the only one to lose, and they build the story that he felt jilted. Well, the reason this match is here is because in Royal Rumble, Lex Luger and not Hulk Hogan, but Bret Hart were eliminated simultaneously. So since Yokozuna had to fight two people, it was determined that Bret Hart would also fight two people, so that whether Yokozuna won or lost against Lex Luger, everybody was working twice in the main event. So that's the reason they put Bret Hart and Owen Hart in the opening position in this match. As he's always said, is a setting for the table. This table was an entire buffet. This thing was put together so well.
Yes, it was. It was one of the best matches. And this is where also at the Royal Rumble where Owen Hart blamed Bret for not winning the tag team titles. That kick to the leg is still ingrained in my memory. You know, it was definitely one of the best matches I've ever seen as far as an opener goes. Owen Hart pulled the upset and got the victory. And it was wild because, you know, nobody expected that.
No, they didn't. And while we said Vince and Jerry were okay, they really put over the importance of this brother-on-brother feud. This was the time their chemistry really clicked. The story was there. The ringside story was there. The commentary was there. 3 3/4 stars for an opening match. This match was great.
Yeah, I gave this 4 stars. This really felt like the top notch. This was the bee's knees.
Yes.
Yeah, moving on here. Cy Spurling came out and did a little bit of introduction.
Cy Spurling, for those of you who are not familiar with him, because I don't believe they're in business anymore, and if not, he's not running it. Cy Spurling was the creator of the Hair Club for Men. It was the, if you were losing your hair, they had medical treatments to replace your hair. And Cy Spurling came out and introduced the Fink with hair.
Yeah, take a look at that. I was definitely something.
That rug looked like it had been beaten to death. But anyway, so we get the Fink out there with hair, and he introduced the next match, which is... Wow, I can't believe I'm going to try and say this one with a straight face. Bam Bam Bigelow with his main squeeze, Luna Vachon, against Babyface Doink and Dink.
Yeah, this was totally different from last year when he was heel Doink, and, you know, I loved it here, but man, I did not love this.
Oh, and I'm going to get it out of the way early. Dink the Clown was one of the greatest gimmicks ever. Heel Dink the Clown, but you, Dink the Clown, Dink the Clown. It should not be called Dink the Clown. It should be called Punt the Clown.
Oh my God, was he horrible?
God.
He really screwed that up. That match there, you know, Bocharella, I thought I saw Sasha Banks come out of it.
Yeah, and Dink the Clown had been in the wrestling business 14 years when this match happened, and it sure didn't look like it.
Yeah, I mean, this was not exactly a great match to follow, and it was a tough one to follow the opener, but man.
Yeah, and this, not good. This match really served no purpose. You're right, it was a botch fest. The match, they tried to go too fast. And I'm going to say this one more time. As you see up here, we do not have the Wrestle in Peace. Bam Bam Bigelow has passed. Luna Vachon has passed. Matt Bourne, who was Dink the Clown, has passed. Dink is still alive. Of all the people in this match, Dink is the only one that still exists, which that is not a knock to say we hope he has passed away. We are not wishing ill on Dink the Clown as far as the human being behind him. We're just saying we wish a couple of these other people were still alive.
They had a good feud going into it with Doink initially throwing water on Bam Bam during an episode of Superstars. That led to a great feud, but this match did not finish it well. I gave it 2 stars. I felt like it could have been better, but it wasn't.
1.5 stars. Luna Vachon showing off some strength, slamming Dink the Clown. There was a huge botch at the end that Dink took well, that they were supposed to both roll out of the way of splashes, but Dink didn't get out of the way of Luna Vachon. So 1.5 because Dink did take a little bit of punishment.
Yeah. So here comes my 2-finger salute.
And it's appropriate.
And this is appropriate here. You had an imitation Bill Clinton coming up on this next segment. Todd Pettengill doing his great interviewing skills. Great. Over there, and you had IRS sitting in the background, not to mention Jack Tunney, former president of the WWF, sitting next to him. But just the stupidity of this segment. We're not even in DC, we're in New York. Why did you have Bill Clinton come out there, a fake Bill Clinton, and give a promo, not only to IRS, but also did it to the $1 Million Man later on. This was freaking horrible. It gets my 2-finger salutes.
Yes, and at this time, Raw existed. If you wanted to have this intergender mixed tag match of Bam Bam and Luna versus Doink and Dink, Raw existed now. This is where that match should have belonged. You could have put IRS and Ted DiBiase on this show. You could have put him against just about anybody, and it would have been a much better match than the one we just talked about. This was a totally useless segment. Bill Clinton didn't need to be here. We don't even know who the fake Bill Clinton was because WWE covers it up. We don't know who it is.
Yeah, if you know, put that in the comments section.
And we get Bam Bam and Doink and all that stuff. We could have had and we had nothing going on with Ted. We had nothing going on with IRS. No wonder Ted went to WCW a short 9 months later.
Yeah, that's what you call the payday for nothing.
Yep.
And moving on here.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to. Good God. You had the Macho Man Randy Savage taking on Strawberry Crush this time with Mr. Fuji. Yeah. If you look at his outfits, Crush over here, he was Grape Crush back in the days, and then he was Coda Crush.
He was Peach Crush and
Orange
Crush.
Now he's got the red on there like the Strawberry Crush.
Yeah, this is heel Crush. He's no longer Demolition Crush. He's now the heel Kona Crush, which the year before he had worked heel Doink, so we had a flip-flop with those two guys in their gimmicks. This was billed as a Falls Count Anywhere match, but it was a rather odd Falls Count Anywhere match, as in when the pin happened, you had 1 minute to get back to the ring, which meant you couldn't have a pin in the ring, and they put that over by Macho Man hitting an elbow on Crush and then pushing him out onto the floor so we could pin him.
Yes, they did.
This match really is another one that didn't need to exist. I couldn't find a whole lot about why they feuded. This was Macho Man's last match in the World Wrestling Federation. Very last match in the World Wrestling. He had a couple of other appearances, but it wasn't in the ring. And this is the match they put him to pasture on. Not good. It didn't need to exist. There wasn't a lot going on, but it was Macho Man. I gave it 1 3/4, but I'm going to put it up to 2 because Macho Man did the best he could with what he had.
I gave it 2.5, basically because I love the ending where he tied his feet and he had him hung upside down. Only if they would have kept that going. That would have been really great. But, it fell down, the rope fell. Macho Man, he did a great job. Like you said, he went to WCW. I gave it 2.5.
Okay.
I loved how he was at Coke level 7 at this point towards the end, because he was gone, brother.
Oh, he was out there, all right.
That's right. He was 180, 360, 270. He was all gone, man. But yeah. Anyways, so we had Bob Backlund last year at WrestleMania 9 make his appearance, because he didn't make one ever. So now they decided to bring back WrestleMania 1 here with Leilani Kai taking on Alundra Blaze for the WWF Women's Championship.
Yeah, so Alundra Blaze, for those of you who are not familiar with her, because she didn't spend a long time there at Alundra Blaze, she had a very illustrious career as the Medusa Michelli, or the Fabulous Medusa. She went over to WCW as Debbie Michelli. Yeah. People can never pronounce her last name right. So anyway, and they brought out Leilani Kai, who looked well past her prime. This match, Alundra Blaze was from the new generation of women who were not trained by the Fabulous Moolah. So you could tell the difference, and these two did not gel.
No.
Medusa, or Alundra Blaze, was more train with the guys, do what the guys do, bring the guy style of wrestling with a feminine edge. And Leilani Kai kept trying to do the hair mares and the spank on the butt and things like that, and it didn't work. It looked like this match was practiced for weeks, and then they forgot to put pauses in the rehearsals.
They really did.
This match was on triple speed. You know, can we find a picture, editor, of Francisco Bernoulli? Triple speed. This is how fast this match was. But there was nothing technically wrong with it as far as there was no botches, so I did give it 1.5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, I went with 2. I felt like, it was a solid match. I mean, it was old school versus new school at that time, before the Attitude Era women came, which, God, thank you for that. But, yeah, it really wasn't that great. I just gave it 2 stars.
And that's fair. So
and Blaze retained the title, by the way.
There you go. Now we get into the World Tag Team titles. Men on a Mission, which is King, well, not King at this time, but Mabel, Mo, and Oscar was their manager / mouthpiece, taking on the Quebecers, which is one of our favorites, the Mountie, and Carl Ouellet, who was also Jean-Pierre Lafitte. They put him as a pirate gimmick later on, who were the tag team champions.
I need a graphic designer to make the Mountie riding Hercules. That's what I need. I need somebody to make that photo for me.
Yeah, so the Quebecers were managed by Johnny Polo, which Johnny Polo was a wrestler. Then they decided, because he's a good talker, they made him a manager, and he hated that, so he went a short year later and became Raven.
Yes.
Look at Johnny Polo, look at Raven. There's a big difference between those two, and it took a while for people to figure it out. Raven was a big change, but he was very good in this match as their manager.
Yeah, he did a great job out there. The match was solid. I mean, I went 2.5. It wasn't nothing spectacular. I did love how Men on the Mission decided to, jump off the top rope and splash Mabel into both Quebecers.
Yeah, I do want to bring up Mabel. This is the time when Mo and Mabel came out to the ring and they would dance. Well, it wasn't so much that. It looked more like Akeem.
It did.
It looked like George Gray, Akeem the African Dream.
It really did.
And they had on their front, whoop, there it is. So I hope our editor can find this. The rap group tag team has made a return with our, I'll give it up for it, the Geico clap match.
Yes.
Because they're back doing now how to scoop ice cream, doing whoop, there it is, as scoop, there it is. So I hope our editor can find that. If not, check out those commercials. It is funny watching them. But now listen to Scoop, there it is, and look at Mo and Mabel, their 300 and 500 pound frames, and see if it doesn't make you just chuckle.
Oh,
so because of that, I'm going 2 stars just for that image in my head.
Oh my God. I am moving on here because we had the first WWF title match. And before this, the introductions here, we had Rhonda Shear as the guest timekeeper, Donnie Wahlberg as the guest ring announcer. But before all that, we had Rhonda Shear backstage with Shawn Michaels and Burt Reynolds in an interview segment.
No.
Yeah.
Rhonda Shear, she's a very beautiful woman, very well-built woman. She was part of USA's Nighttime when they used to show movies.
All night.
Yes, USA's Up All Night. But she did as she just sat down on her battery-operated boyfriend.
Yeah, I mean...
And she was loving up on Shawn Michaels, and then Burt Reynolds came out, who was in the 90s, he was one of the sexiest men alive. Shawn Michaels never made the list. Burt Reynolds did. So she gold digged onto Burt Reynolds, and that segment didn't really need to exist, but it was fun.
And Shawn Michaels went on to Playgirl magazine.
We do not need a photo of that. Editor, we do not need a photo of that.
Anyways, yeah, we had the big match here. We had Yokozuna taking on Lex Luger. Yokozuna had Mr. Fuji and Jim Cornette in his corner.
Yeah, and this was started based upon the USS Intrepid. It was during the July 4th. Yokozuna challenged people to come in the ring and try to slam him. And they brought out some football players, some wrestlers, some strongmen, and nobody could slam him. Well, Lex Luger managed to do it. So then we got the exciting bus tour across America, the Lex Express.
I'll be your hero! Yeah, that shit.
So we get the two of them, and we get Lex's selling style, which is, ow! We've driven it into the ground. I don't want to bring it up anymore, except we could hear it in this match as well. So obviously that's all he knows how to do is, ow!
It's God. Yeah, Yokozuna actually won this match by disqualification because
the perfect referee, Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig, was the referee in this match. Lex Luger brought Jimmy Cornette in, and good bump, Jimmy Cornette.
Yes,
always approves.
Yes.
And Fuji comes in. Well, there was a pin. Perfect not Perfect, but Lex Luger had nailed the knockout shot. Was covering Yokozuna, but Mr. Perfect was trying to get Cornette and Lex Luger out of the ring. Fuji. So then Lex Luger comes up and pushes Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect rings the bell. Then we had an argument backstage between the two of them because, the WrestleMania 9 narcissist garbage wasn't bad enough. We get an argument between the two of them, and Lex Luger said, "Hey, I'm the referee. I made the call." And Lex Luger, being his normal IQ of 54 self, didn't understand that.
Yeah, so Yokozuna won his match. He ended up going on to the main event, which we'll get into. But before that, we had Adam Bomb with Harvey Wippleman taking on Earthquake.
Oh, so we've discussed the previous Adam Bomb. We covered him in our Bash at the Beach 2000. Please don't watch that pay-per-view. If you want to see what we were talking about, check out our previous video. We give you everything you need to know. So don't poison your eyes, don't bleach your eyes by actually watching the entire pay-per-view. Just watch our review of it. But we get the god-awful Brian Clark, known as Adam Bomb here, who was supposedly a freak from a nuclear accident from 3 Mile Island. Raw existed at this time. This should have been on Raw.
Yeah, this was just like, I don't know, I guess a time killer to set up between matches here. Yeah, I gave it like 2 stars, but there really was no point in this match.
1.5 stars again. Well, no, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with 2 stars. It was short.
Yes, that was probably the best thing about it because it really didn't make much sense to have it. But finally, we get to move on to the first ever ladder match here. Shawn Michaels with Diesel taking on Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, this was actually the first ladder match in the World Wrestling Federation. This is not the first ever ladder match.
That is correct.
The very first ever ladder match, at least in the recorded history of wrestling, took place in Calgary between Jake the Snake Roberts and the Junkyard Dog.
Man knows.
I believe it was 1984, 1985, somewhere in that time frame. I've only seen the match once, so I don't remember the year it happened, but I've seen it. It wasn't good, but it was the first. So now we get a good, really solid 4-star ladder match between Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, who came out with Diesel. So we got our first Diesel sighting.
Yeah. Thank you, Oz. Blaster Master.
Master Blaster. He was Oz. He was Vinny Vegas. He teamed with Diamond Dallas Page. So if you ever watched the NWO feud where they brought up that Diamond Dallas Page and Kevin Nash were a tag team and you don't remember it, it was Diamond Dallas Page and Vinny Vegas.
That's right.
And God, was it awful.
It was not good.
But before we even got in the match, we get a little push of the 900 hotline. Stan Lane.
Yeah.
Stan Lane is hosting the 900 hotline.
I tried to forget that this time. I really did.
I wrote it down only because I'm like, Stan Lane, really? Stan Lane?
Oh man, the ladder match itself was great. This is where you only had one ladder out there. Hi, Vince McMahon. We don't need 40 ladders out there for a ladder match.
Yeah, strong story, and something I really like, and I wish they would practice booking a little bit better. Nobody believes in 30 seconds somebody's beat down enough to go get a ladder. They didn't go get the ladder until 6.5 minutes into the match.
Yes, totally agree. This was one of the best matches. I'm with you on this. I'll give it 4 stars as well. It was definitely one of the best matches.
I think if you're going to have more than one ladder, which did make sense, this ladder got damaged and we were kind of wondering, are they going to be able to climb up to the top of it? If you're going to have the ladders, don't put them around ringside. You know, make them go get it. That's part of that crowd introduction, crowd interaction stuff that they did really well when they first brought out tables, ladders, and chairs. They were away from the ring. You had to go get them. You had to fight your way to get it and fight your way back to it. So this match was great, great storytelling. Some of the stuff they did with the ladder hasn't been used since. And I wonder why. But this match, great, great match. 4 stars with Razor Ramon coming out on top, claiming both the IC titles for himself.
Yeah, and we get to move on here. I already discussed Bill Clinton over here talking with the $1 Million Man. Ted came out there and said, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. And of course, Bill's like, I don't want to talk about politics. Yeah, I was like, okay, moving on. Yeah, main event, thank God. That had to have been the time killer there to set everything up. But you had Bret the Hitman Hart taking on Yokozuna.
Yeah, so like the first match with Lex versus Yokozuna, we had Ron Shear was the guest timekeeper in the first match, Lex Luger against Yokozuna. This one had Jenny Garth from 90210 fame, came out to be the guest ring announcer. Donnie Wahlberg was the ring announcer for the first match. We get Burt Reynolds for this one. And the special guest referee for this one was Roddy Piper.
Yeah, we got the man himself, Hot Rod, there. I'll tell you, this match was really good. I loved it for a main event. I felt like if this was WrestleMania 9's main event and stayed that way, it would have been great. I gave it 3.5 stars.
I went 3 stars. I felt this one was not quite as good as their WrestleMania 9 match. I don't know if that was just because the rest of that show was so god-awful that match was head and shoulders above. Or what, or that they both had worked twice and Yoko and Bret might have been a little tired. I felt this one was strong. I did give 3 3/4 to the WrestleMania 9, I believe it was that. But I only went 3 on this one. This one wasn't quite as strong. It was still really, really good, but I do want to talk about Piper's inconsistency. Mr. Perfect did a great job of when he counted outside, when he counted in the match, they were basically the same cadence. We get Roddy Piper, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when it comes time to count the pin, it's 1, 2. There was no consistency of Piper, and it really hurt this a little bit. It took away from some of the excitement of those long 2 counts, those close pins. The inconsistency there of his counting, I felt hurt the match a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about this was Bret Hart ended up winning this match, and according to rumors, which check it out yourself, Yokozuna crapped himself in his pants, and that's why he didn't land this bonsai drop.
Yeah, he fell off there. It's hard to say if that was planned or not. I mean, Bret rolled out of the way appropriately, but with Fuji there, it may have been a past information. I don't care to find out whether he did or not. Congratulations, Bret Hart. Let's not talk about Yokozuna or Rikishi or any of those people and poop. We don't need to. We don't need that image.
Okay, let's move on that one, yeah, because they were celebrating in the ring and everybody came out, all the stars, including Owen Hart came out there. And that set up the great match at SummerSlam in the steel cage, one of my favorite steel cage matches of all time.
Yeah, that was a great match. It was a good example of how to use a cage without overusing a cage. That's another thing. For those of you that are on the independent circuit, you got Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, how to do a ladder match without over-abusing the ladder. The ladder should be a part of the match. The ladder should not be in the match.
Right.
You know, it should enhance the match. It's not a tag team partner. It's a weapon. It's a gimmick. And the cage match there, the cage is a part of the match. It's not the gimmick. It's not your tag team partner. And Bret Hart and Owen Hart used it appropriately in SummerSlam, didn't overuse it, and made that thing mean something. So watch those, our recommendations, watch those for you young indie guys looking to do some hardcore or some gimmick style matches. Good example.
And I'm sure we'll end up covering that up down the line. But that was our show here for WrestleMania 10. To let you guys know, we're going to skip a few here because we went through the first 10 and we don't want to go really through the next generation era. We want to cover some of our favorites. Our next one on the list is this one right here. And let me tell you, that was truly one of the greatest.
This is a great one. Like Dr. Quack was saying, we've covered the first 10 to get you on the road to understand the history. But now we're looking for some good ones. We're going to cover our last few good ones. And then we're going to end up with a kind of a shocker as the last one, taking us into the WrestleMania weekend itself. So be following along on our road to WrestleMania. We're going to show you some good things, some things that the WWF did very well.
That's right, folks. Make sure you check out our episodes from the past here. Like I said, we got some ones coming up. Cold Case will be coming up next week. Make sure you check that out on Tori Wilson. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. Make sure you're getting in your votes for the champion that never was. We're going to be announcing the Champion of Champions tournament in a few weeks. And make sure you like, click, share, subscribe.
And I'm out.